Tesla will indeed build its next Gigafactory in Austin, Texas. And look who's here, the mayor of Austin, Texas, Stephen Adler. Your Honor, welcome to the show. Good to see you again.
Good to be back with you.
And congratulations as well. Now, okay, so when do you break ground?
You know, I think that they're out there reclaiming this land as it exists right now. It's an old mining site, so it looks like the surface of the moon. So it's going to be a wonderful project for the city in that regard as well. It's on a river, and it's going to have parks that'll open up access to the community in ways that didn't exist.
And it's going to have parks that'll open up access to the community in ways that didn't exist. Well,
it's going to have parks that'll open up access to the community in ways that didn't exist.
Now, I should sort of measure my statements in that I think the Earth, like I don't think we're currently doomed. To be clear, this is very important. Very importantly, you know, there are people in all parts of the spectrum, ranging from nothing to worry about, CO2 just makes things better, to we're doomed and there's nothing we can do about it. I am somewhere in the middle. So my concern with the CO2 is not kind of where we are today, or even the current rate of carbon generation, but really if carbon generation keeps accelerating and we keep getting increase in the Keeling curve, the CO2 parts per million in the atmosphere, and if we keep going and if we're complacent, then I think we could. There's some risk of sort of non-linear climate change. Or even the current rate of carbon generation, but really if carbon generation keeps accelerating and we keep getting increase in the Keeling curve, the CO2 parts per million in the atmosphere, and if we keep going and if we're complacent, then I think we could. There's some risk of sort of non-linear climate change. So thus far we've seen the CO2 parts per million be fairly linear on our time scale, although it looks very exponential on geologic time scale. But there are certain potential nonlinear events, like if we raise the temperature to the point where we melt the Siberian traps or something like that.
And methane escapes, yeah.
Yeah, there's just a massive amount of sort of frozen dead plant animal matter in Siberia. There's potentially trapped gases deep in the ocean. If the ocean warms,
yeah,
that could be released. So these are just risks that are not wise to take. And since we know that long term we're going to have renewable energy anyway, because we'll run out of oil and gas. It's not going to last forever. So we know where this ends up. This has to end up with renewable, sustainable energy. It's tautological. It's really just a question of, do we try to get there sooner or later? And we just try to get there sooner. It's obvious. Why run the? How long do you want to run this experiment?
Yeah. It's also true that even if we stopped CO2 production, that's probably still not enough. That we do need mechanisms for extraction of CO2 from the atmosphere and the oceans that don't exist right now.
As I said, I am. People sometimes think I'm sort of like. I'm kind of in the middle of the spectrum. I think if we stopped CO2 production today, which obviously we could not do without civilization coming to a grinding halt, and mass starvation and all sorts of terrible things happening. So we could not stop CO2 generation today. But I think at the sort of 400, possibly even 500 ppm level, I think it's probably okay. But if as the world industrializes, and sort of 8 billion people get to 9 billion people, have a lot more industrial output per person, you can see the at what might be okay at sort of 400 or 500 parts per million of CO2 in the atmosphere might become quite dire at 1,000.
Yep.
And the trend is certainly in that direction if we don't do anything about it. So that's why I think it's just probably an unwise experiment to run. Even if you think that this is why I think it should be a compelling argument to even those who would assign a low probability to increased CO2 causing problems. Like, let's say you think it's 99.9% likely that that adding all the CO2 to the ocean's atmosphere is going to be fine. So you're saying there's a 0.1% chance of disaster. Well, there's only one. So right now we're going to get one planet. Even a 0.1% chance of disaster. Why run that risk? That's crazy. So I think what's likely to play out is that we will continue to add a lot more CO2 to the ocean's atmosphere, and also ocean acidification, as you know, is also an issue. You don't want to sort of add carbonic acid to the oceans and change the pH level because it destroys reefs and all that. So
which it's actively doing right now as we're watching.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. So this is a problem.
No, I remember when I first met you, Elon. It was about 2000, and I remember you had two massively transformative missions. It was one making humanity interplanetary. Yeah. And the second was bringing us to a sustainable economy. Yeah. A sustainable energy economy.
Right, exactly.
And I think you've done pretty damn good. Are you happy with the progress you've made?
Yeah, I think it's hard to complain. The outcome so far has been great. Although obviously, we've not yet sent anyone to Mars, and hopefully will in the future. And in fact, just a few days ago, or late last week, I guess, NASA awarded SpaceX a contract.
Awesome, $2.9 billion for the next lunar lander.
Yeah, so a SpaceX craft will be the next craft to put humans on the moon. I believe the first human will be a woman actually this time.
Yes.
So this is great. This is great.
Yeah.
But of course we have to actually do it. And then tomorrow we've got our third astronaut launch to the space station.
Before we dive into the carbon removal rules and so forth.
Yeah. I mean, it's obviously a bit of a dichotomy because our rockets do produce carbon.
True.
Like, oh, what a hypocrite.
True. No.
He's obviously just in for the money.
But let's talk about the Crew 2 mission.
I feel I should address this. Are you being a hypocrite by launching rockets that produce carbon? Here's the problem is right now there's really no way to get around the physics of a rocket. So I think it's important for the long-term preservation and ultimately the expansion and extension of the scope and scale of consciousness and the long-term probability of survival of humanity and life as we know it. We must become a multi-planet species because there are all these risks that we can't control.
Existential risks,
asteroid
strikes.
Yeah. There's like
super volcanoes.
We could do, we could have a World War III or something. There's like I'm optimistic about the future, but you could also say like, okay, well, so how long do you think civilization will last before there's a catastrophic event? If you say infinity, this is not correct.
Yes.
Okay.
Your Honor, welcome to the show. Good to see you again.
Good to be back with you.
And congratulations as well. Now, when Amazon tried to move into New York City, the left didn't like it because New York City had given a lot of tax breaks. And I know that Travis County has given tax breaks to Tesla to move to your area. What do the local people think about tax breaks for a huge company and a very rich guy like Elon Musk?
You know what? I might sound stupid to you, but I've been on Google. I know what the internet is. I've been on there. I've been hearing what you've been saying about
Elon Musk.
Oh, is it going to be too much of a documentary? Oh, it's going to be too long. They're going to have too much emo music. I want more rock and roll. Give me some more rap. There's too much powder, not enough handrails. Shut it! You know what? I do not care what you think. Shut your open mouth when you're talking to me, because this is gonna be a darn good
Cybertruck, cue music.
What the f are we doing? What are we doing? Woo!
Where are you guys from?
I live here. He's from Texas.
Oh, Texas.
I used to live.
He used to live in Texas.
I was in Houston for a little while.
Yeah, panoramics are awesome up here, huh? You get all the peaks. Where are y'all from? San Diego.
Part of that New York.
Part of the New Yorkers. Not part of that. Yeah, oh yeah, we've met a bunch of them. There were a couple dudes last night. They had Starbucks mugs. They had it full of beer. So I just hit this?
Yeah.
Filming.
I'll get there. There we go. Yeah, dude, I came into it and I was like, oh. Here, scoot down just a little bit. Get you with the bay.